Welcome to Historically Drinking. Tonight, I am making the Thanksgiving adjacent Puritan Cocktail. And I'll be talking about the drinking culture of the people that it was named after. If you like this kind of content, all boozy and history soaked, hit the subscription button below and then the notification bell, and you'll get alerted each week when I release a new episode. Here we go. Let's make the Puritan. So we start with a mixing vessel. Into this vessel, we will first put orange bitters. I'm using Regan's orange bitters. We want 1 dash. After that, we want yellow chartreuse. So there's the yellow chartreuse. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of this. You do want to make sure when you're buying chartreuse for this cocktail that you're getting the yellow and not the green. The labels are very similar in color, honestly, and you don't want to actually grab the green because it's much higher proof and it just will not work well in this particular cocktail, but it's delicious. I recommend trying it. Next, we'll use Martini and Rossi dry vermouth. We just need 1 ounce of this. There's a lot of really great dry vermouth out there. I like Martini and Rossi because it's good and it's inexpensive. So it's a good value for the price. And then next is our gin. I'm using Gilbey's. Why Gilbey's? Well, because it's what I had on hand that would work best in this cocktail. It honestly is not the ideal gin for this drink. It is quite junipery and not super complex. And I don't think it's ideal for this. The modern day recipe that I found for this cocktail actually called for Plymouth gin, and I think that would be a really excellent choice. So if you are going out and buying ingredients for this, I would recommend that you get Plymouth gin. Okay, putting my ice in here. There we go. I'm going to stir it up. Now, how do I know when I'm done stirring? The glass will get really nice, a lot of condensation on the outside of it. And the color also starts to change the cocktail because water that's melting off the ice is starting to dilute it. And we don't want it to dilute too much, but just seeing a slight color change in it lets me know, there it is, that the cocktail is ready. There we go. I have my glass over here chilling with this iceberg in it. I'm going to dump that out. Then pour this in. The style of glass that I'm using is called a coupe. There we go. Of course, we need a garnish for this. The traditional garnish is a lemon peel. So I'm going to peel a nice big swath. I'm going to peel it right over the drink because that way oils that come off of the lemon peel while I'm peeling it are going right on top of the drink and leaving a really nice smell on top of there. I want to make this peel fancy. So what I'm going to do is cut all down along one side of the peel and then cut all down the other side of the peel. And now I'm going to put a slit in the middle that goes not quite all the way to each end. Lastly, I'm going to trim just a little bit off of each end. And there we go. It's nice and uniform, and there's this slit in the middle. You can see that there's that it's still attached at the ends, which allows me to do this, which looks so nice. But something that's also fun to do is to twist it in on itself and then stick it on, oops, theoretically, there we go. Well, it fell apart, but you get the idea. It's beautiful. It's a lemon peel. Let's taste the drink, yeah? It is a really good drink. I love Chartreuse in all of its colors, and the Chartreuse is undeniable in this drink. It's so yummy. We have success. So this cocktail is actually not prolific, not like some classic cocktails are. I had a hard time finding much information about it on the internet, and it was in literally none of the vast array of bar books that I have. The godsend that I found was the cocktail blog Cocktail Virgin, in a post written by Frederick Yarm, where he interviewed the famous Misty Coffin from Boston. She recommended this drink to him. What she told him was that it first appeared in 1900 in The Cocktail Book, a sideboard manual for gentlemen, and then again a few decades later in a Boothby's cocktail book. So I don't have either one of these. I do have them on order, but as of the time of this filming, I haven't received them yet. But I am so excited to be able to look at both of them and see where this cocktail has appeared in print. Something that Frederick Yarm said in his post was speculating on where the name of this cocktail came from. Perhaps it was named after the Puritans because it is dry and austere like the Puritans were. Well, perhaps it is dry and austere, and the Puritans were at least austere. I don't know about dry, though, at least not in the sense of imbibing alcohol, because Puritans liked to drink a lot. The Puritan minister, Increase Mather, summed it up really well when he said, "Drink in itself is a good creature of God and to be received with thankfulness, but the abuse of drink is from Satan." Puritan men and women drank tons of cider, tons of beer. They owned taverns. They frequented taverns. They would even sometimes have their religious meetings inside a tavern. They didn't celebrate holidays, not holidays like Christmas and birthdays, but they did celebrate occasions. So for instance, like on Election Day, they would spend it celebrating by drinking. Apparently, they were so fond of drinking that they would also celebrate things like breakfast with drinking, lunch with drinking, dinner with drinking. All of this celebrating was leading to a drinking problem, which was getting in the way of their Puritan ideals. These ideals were family, work, and honesty. And where there's a lot of drinking, sometimes there's not a lot of work. So taverns became highly regulated, with prohibitions being put on such things as toasting. You couldn't cheers your neighbor. You also couldn't dance, and you could not sing bawdy songs. If you were found to be drunk, you could earn a public whipping. So it's no surprise that with rules like that in place, Puritanism disappeared by 1740. Though we do still see traces of it in our highly regulated alcohol industry. So why is this Puritan cocktail Thanksgiving adjacent? Well, it's because the Puritans themselves were Thanksgiving adjacent. The Puritans arrived just a few years after the Pilgrims celebrated their first Thanksgiving dinner. The Puritans, like the Pilgrims, were fleeing England, seeking religious freedom. Both groups were fervently pious and they dressed alike. Now, the difference between the two was that Pilgrims wanted separation from the Church of England, while Puritans just wanted reform of the Church of England. Pilgrims, pretty quickly, there weren't a ton of them, not compared to the numbers that there were of Puritans, so the Pilgrims were really sort of absorbed into the Puritan community. Like I said, the Puritans themselves had really vanished by the early 1700s. Well, I could not have done this episode without Frederick Yarm and his Cocktail Virgin blog. Also, I highly recommend America Walks Into a Bar, which I relied on a lot for this episode, as well as other episodes that I've done. It's written by Christine Sismondo and is a great read. I will have links to those in the comments below, as well as just some other useful links for you to check out. I do accept tips on Venmo. They help me do things like purchase gin for my episodes. You can find me at sarah-lm-mengoni. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. If you liked this episode, I would love it if you would subscribe, but also if you would comment. I would really like to hear what you have to say. All right, I will be back next week with another video. In the meantime, have a very happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday. Cheers. Okay, see you next week.